Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It is such a privilege to be joining you again. Thank you for welcoming me into your space. It's been a little while since I've recorded. I've been very busy, leading a very busy practice at work, but I am trying my best to record as soon as I get an opportunity to record and to share some critical insight with you. Today, I want to discuss 10 lessons from Tenancy. Now, I've recently completed my first year of Tenancy as a junior barrister. How exciting! Look at how quickly the time flies. But I've recently completed that, and I think it would be wise to share some insight with you. So let's get started. Number one, budgeting. Make sure that you're budgeting properly. If you are interested in a career at the self-employed bar, budgeting is key. You need to know and record your expenses properly and account for them. Things like your train tickets or your mileage if you're driving, the food that you may purchase if you are traveling to and from a court away from your chambers. You really need to be accounting for it. And that is where the importance of an accountant comes in, because your accountant will need your expenses, especially when preparing your income tax. When we refer to the income tax, you'll also realize that you need to be developing a proper system where you are allocating your funds and budgeting accordingly. Remember that your income tax is paid at the end of every financial year. So you want to be having regular discussions with your accountant to find out how much money you need to be putting aside. And the reality is, given that we are self-employed, it is a bit of a guess. It's a guesstimate. In that regard, what you will find then is if you are regularly reviewing the position with your accountant, you should be guesstimating the amount that you should be saving. You should also be keeping an eye on your VAT. If you are VAT registered or VAT registered, you must be putting aside that money for VAT so that when it's time to pay it, that you have it set aside. That money is not yours, so don't get carried away and spend it. The government usually wants that money quarterly. In terms of budgeting, it's also a very good idea to know which cases have been paid and follow up with your clerks. I have a spreadsheet, and it's very easy for me to track it. And it means that I would tell my clerks, could you kindly chase or follow up on these payments? The second lesson is marketing. Marketing is a big part of our job. And I think you should seize the opportunity or seize every opportunity to market yourself. So for example, you can write articles. You are developing your expertise and building on your experience every time you walk into the courtroom. And when you build on that experience becomes invaluable information for you to share with your solicitors and your clients. And a good way to share it is to really publish articles. You can use your chamber's websites to share those articles, and you can use your social media platforms like LinkedIn to share those articles. In terms of marketing as well, I also recommend conducting seminars or preparing talks for solicitors on specialist topics. That way you can really engage with those persons who are instructing you by also teaching them or sharing your knowledge of practice and how it applies in that particular area. If you are also an avid social media user, you can use those social media platforms appropriately to market yourself. And just really always consider the Bar Council guidance if you are unsure about what you should be doing with your social media accounts. Thirdly, resilience. We need a bucket load of resilience. Of course, there are highs and lows in our job, particularly in outcomes. We have to deal with different and difficult personalities sometimes while maintaining a level of professionalism. And that really applies to, your clients, your opponents, the judges that you need to persuade. You will not win everything, but you need to be able to stop, pause, reflect. Do not beat yourself up. Do not stay down too long. Get back up because you've got a case the next day or you've got a case to be preparing for. So we do still need the resilience. The fourth lesson: prepare thoroughly for your case. I know that you probably are already doing that, but prepare thoroughly for your case and rest in the fact that court can be highly unpredictable. Do your best so that you can be proud of yourself regardless of the outcome. And we know that preparation is really where the heavy lifting is done. You're doing your thorough research. You're reading into the papers. You want to be on top of those facts. You want to know those facts. Maybe even challenge yourself to know the facts so well that you know the facts the best out of everybody in the courtroom. I find that thorough preparation always helps with nerves. Fifthly, discuss your case with other barristers. You do not know everything. You will never know everything. And I find that shared insight often yields better representation. So often you will always find barristers talking to one another about upcoming cases. And really and truly, we will engage each other on the principles of certain cases and the analysis required to advance certain arguments. So don't shy away from that. Don't think that just because you're a tenant that you're now off on your own and you don't need to discuss it. Please discuss your cases. Lesson number 6, camaraderie at the bar. It's so important to continue to develop great relationships with your colleagues. And you will find that as you participate in different events, whether or not that may be the INS events or circuit events and other bar related events, you will regularly engage and encounter your colleagues, and it is always a good idea to have very good relationships with them, because you will inevitably encounter most of them at court when you are discussing a case, and you will need to narrow the issues in the case and really and truly have some kind of solution-oriented discussion sometimes. Now, you won't be able to reach a settlement or a solution all the time, but I find having great relationships with your opponents always makes the job easier, even if you can't agree. Your instructions don't allow you to agree on certain points. Lesson number 7, assess the strengths and weaknesses of your case and don't be afraid to have difficult conversations about it. Some cases, as you will know, have very limited prospects of success, or they may be hopeless. Tell your client, even if you're afraid that they wouldn't like the outcome, your job is to act in their best interest. Your job is to manage their expectations and really manage it realistically. So tell them they've paid you for your expertise and your opinion, so be bold. When you assess the case as well, you also put yourself in the best position to have important settlement discussions. And you will note the importance of settlement to avoid certain litigation risks, especially when you know that there are some big weaknesses on your case. You will be keen to try to reach a favorable settlement outcome for your client. Everything in this job doesn't boil down to you, for example, just going to just win a case outright. Sometimes the best outcome for a client is settlement, because you just can't risk running it to court and perhaps losing it all. So settlement. Lesson number 8, Develop a great relationship with your clerks. I mean, a great relationship with your clerks. These are the persons that you will be interacting with day in, day out. They get to know you, become buddies, besties with your clerk. They will know you in all the seasons of your practice. They know your diary the best. They know if you've got simultaneous deadlines. They know if you are in trial and then you have paperwork. And it is very important to have open, candid discussions with your clerks so that you can work with them to shape the practice that you ultimately want. So, anytime you're in chambers, make sure that you go always and just sit down and have conversations with your clerks, because it always pays off to have a great relationship with your clerks. They're the people that are working tirelessly to ensure that you remain booked and busy. They are the persons who speak to solicitors to book you. They're the persons who recommend your expertise in certain cases. So it is important to make sure that you keep that open line of communication with your clerks. Lesson number 9, attend chambers. Attend chambers as much as you can. It is important to build a solid community and support system. I find that it's very easy to feel isolated in this profession because you may notice that you walk into court alone. You may feel that it all turns on you to do a very good job so that you can represent your client properly. But the reality of the situation is, while you walk into court alone, this is still a team sport. Remember, one of my previous lessons was that you should be discussing your case with barristers and with other barristers. And the reality of the situation is that if you continue to build and lean on this support system, you will benefit greatly from their insights. You will benefit greatly from a supportive community. And I find that attending chambers in person allows you to continue to form those relationships. It just feels better to get to know people in person in comparison to virtually. You also feel reassured that there are persons there always willing and ready to help. As much as you attend chambers, you should also try to attend chambers related events. I know that our diaries are very busy. I know that all of our diaries are completely different to one another. So chambers events allow you to have an opportunity to network and build relationships with your clients. They also allow you to see your fellow barristers and just catch up. There's nothing wrong with catching up, having a chat. When you see your clients at these events, it's a really good opportunity to speak to them about cases, also secure future work as well, and to continue to develop those relationships with them. The final lesson, lesson number 10, is gratitude. Gratitude at all times is a must. Start with the people in your chambers. They are always working so hard to ensure that you are supported. Your clerks are there for you consistently, and they need to know that you appreciate them, that you see them, and that you know that they're working extremely hard to make sure that your practice stays afloat. Thank all of the staff, the receptionists, the director or your CEO, the accountants in chambers. Thank everybody, because everyone plays an important role in making sure that not only chambers is running effectively, but ensuring that you have a stable base to practice from. Given that we are on the topic of gratitude, do not forget to thank your clients. You will not have a successful practice without having any clients. Without them, you wouldn't be able to build a thriving practice. So thank them and be grateful. And now that I'm on the topic of gratitude, I'm grateful for you for continuously watching Life Law BIM and watching this journey with me and growing with me. I am now grateful to be in 2026, and I'm celebrating year 2 of tenancy and continuing to build my practice. Thanks everybody, and I hope to see you on the next video. Take care of yourself. Bye now.